Good morning, everybody. Oh, why does my camera seem a bit off? You get to see more of that up, but I'm just going to pull it down a little bit. Okay, there we go. That's a little bit better. All right, so welcome to Cosmic Owl Astrology. I am Louise Eddington. I am your astrologer. Please subscribe to my channel. While you are here, give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment. All helps the YouTube views and the podcast analytics too. And let's dive into the week beginning January the 29th. Now, we are coming off a week where quite a week. Wow, we had such a big full moon, a Leo full moon, and then Uranus station direct and Mercury and Mars were conjunct in Capricorn. It's been rather fraught and frenetic in my house, but not necessarily bad, but woof, big kind of surprises, shocks, all those kind of things. Anyway, but so this is the chart starting at 12:01 a.m. Eastern on January the 29th, and we're going to look at the 8 days ahead. But I have been working with a mentor and I overgive on everything all the time. And I do write my daily posts with the kind of intricate aspects and things. So these weekly forecasts, because I know you really do not have time to watch everything and listen to everything that I put out, these weekly forecasts are going to just focus on the major aspects and to get the nitty gritty and the detail and tune into these smaller aspects. You can read my Substack. There's a link to that in the description. And the Substack also does an audio version. They AI the audio of the script. So you can listen to that if you prefer listening to. Anyway, so I'm just going to pull one card for this week ahead. So this is using, I should stop the share for now. This is using this Trivia deck that there's a link for a discount code in the description as well if you want to take a look at it and maybe buy it. I'm actually really liking this. When they sent me this deck, I was a little bit unsure, but they asked me to start using it on my podcast in return for giving you a discount code. And I will say I am an affiliate too, so they pay me a little bit of money if any of the decks sell, but that's I don't like hard sell. So if you like it, have a look at it. If you don't, then don't. But anyway, let's pull a card and I will just kind of tune in to the week ahead. And let me just open this window again that I've got here that will tune me into the week ahead a little bit as well to see what major things are coming. We're going to have the last quarter moon. It's actually a much quieter week than last week. So, oof. And we start with a lovely Earth Grand Trine today on Sunday the 28th. That's going to help us kind of pull it into center and really kind of start to integrate all these kind of crazy energies a little bit. So, oh, no, I was not focusing on the chart. So bear with me 1 second. I just want to kind of pull the card for you for the week. And we'll see if I pull one or two. Oh, okay. And actually, no, I need two, it says. Oh, interesting. So the first card I pulled is the King of Wands reversed. All right. And then I pulled the King of Swords reversed. So let's have a look what they have to say, particularly reversed. And as I've mentioned before, each deck really kind of has its own kind of vibe. So I'm still using the book on this one because it's new. But anyway, this figures we are starting the week still under the Uranus station with Mercury and Mars have a trining Uranus. So it's still a bit restless and change is coming. So So this card figures. So this is a really kind of saying you might feel a bit reckless and impatient because you're bursting with energy, which without the necessary guidelines can become counterproductive. You are a fast thinker, but you might need to take some time to gather your thoughts in order not to make some hasty decisions. Be more mindful in your everyday activities to avoid making impulsive choices you might regret later. So there's an affirmation for it, but please use any other ways to ground and calm your nervous system. I actually talk about that in my Substack today. But the affirmation is, I am patient and focused and decisive, which is bringing me closer to my goals. Okay. So it's just a bit of a caution about this kind of, frazzled kind of energy. And then we also have the King of Wands. I mean, this all makes sense because we're coming off such an erratic week. So this says, even though you're highly ambitious, make sure that the goals that you're pursuing are the ones that your heart truly wants and not just a projection of other people's dreams. The efforts that you're putting in should be for what you truly believe in and not just what is expected of you. You might be avoiding being a leader in some project, but you shouldn't doubt yourself and accept the offer. So the affirmation for that one is, I have ambition and a clear vision for my future. That one really resonates too. So I hope it does for you. All right, so get back to the astrology for the week and let's go through, as I said, just the major aspects because I tend to get carried away in the detail. But I like the shapes. So we do start the week still under the Earth Grand Trine that is helping us to integrate the kind of restlessness and erratic energy that we got with that King of Swords reversed into our body, into earth signs and bringing it into center. And then it's still in aspect to Juno, particularly, which is our sacred contracts asteroid in Virgo, which is about becoming that holistic mind, body, spirit, and still in aspect to Mercury and Mars over here, who are still very much traveling together for a little bit till Mercury moves away. So that's how we start the week. We're still really in orbit of this Mercury Mars square to the nodes as well, which is a real focal point of change. So we really do kind of start the week in that edgy reversed King of Swords energy as I read out. So let's move into the major aspects. So, oops, excuse me. On Monday, the 29th, Mars completes its trine to Uranus. And of course, Uranus is still at the station degree. So Uranus stationed direct and will remain at that degree for a little while because it's a slower moving planet as well. So they tend to stay stationary for a few days. So Uranus station direct on January the 27th, very early in the morning here. And so, still waiting for Uranus to move forward. So that Mars trine to Uranus will bring a bit more of that edgy energy that I talked about. Okay. But then that will all start to break up. So on the 30th, I'm not going to give all the general aspects but on the 30th, we have no major aspects. The moon will leave Virgo and move into Libra for about 2.5 days, but there's no major aspects. But I do want to point out that we're still really under the influence of this Earth Grand Trine, which is giving you that opportunity to come into this mind, body, spirit trinity within yourself and change how you kind of are operating in the world. I liken it to, there's a real bursting out of this polyvagal theory that talks about balancing the vagus nerve that runs from the brain through the heart right down to the root. And so there's a lot of balancing the mind, the body, the center part, and the spirit, the lower part of the body, bringing it into balance. And this is helping us do it, but only if we kind of choose to integrate this energy of this earthy trine. So then on to Wednesday, the 31st. Again, there's no major aspects. You can see the moon is in Libra. We'll talk more. I will talk more about that in my Substack every day. But I just want you to notice that how this Earth Grand Trine is really still active for quite most of the early part of the week, at least. So then as we move into Thursday, again, we have no big aspects, but we still have the Earth Grand Trine, but it's beginning to move away. Okay, Mars will trine Juno and then move on because Juno's moving retrograde. And this is when it really starts to work to move forward. And so also Earth energy is kind of a very material creative power. So that brings me to the message of that King of Wands reversed. And so this week, most of it is about getting that mind, body, spirit into balance and starting to like step out of this erratic energy and see how you can start to move forward from all the kind of awakenings you've had. And you can see Uranus is still at 19 degrees 5 minutes right through Thursday. So, and we'll see if it's on Friday moved. So Uranus is still at a standstill. This week is a real integration week. Okay. Then on to Friday. Uranus starts to move, has moved 1 minute. Mars and Mercury are moving on. So this grand trine is starting to disappear. But on Friday, which is Venus Day, the moon has moved into Scorpio and we will actually have the last quarter moon. The third quarter moon after that big Leo full moon that we had that was kind of crazy huge. We had all these solar flares last week as well coming up to that full moon. And now we're going into the last quarter, the shedding, waning phase before the Aquarius new moon. I'll be doing a podcast for that. But the Aquarius, the last quarter moon, let me actually give you the will be, maybe I can, moon, I'll give you the degree, even though I will be writing about it in full on Friday's Substack post. But the Scorpio moon, it's at 13 with the sun at 13. And look where the sun is on this, sandwiched right next to the beautiful spinner of grace, that cosmic doula, the midwife that's helping us to weave and spin a new story. And Circe the witch is right there as well. She's helping us to alchemize this new story of, really, I'm going to say the divine feminine for the want of a better word, but that's within males and females. But it's also at 13 degrees, the number of the goddess, the number of the witch. And I actually bought this deck, so maybe I'll pull a card quickly at the end because I do have another call. The Witch deck. This is by the beautiful writer Angie Sullins with art by Silas Tobar. Witch meaning woman in total control of herself. So, we are stepping into this wholeness more and more. And I'll talk more in detail about the last quarter moon on Friday's Substack, but I will tell you that this is in fixed signs. This is about really kind of coming into making things real for where we're going for the future. And so, so then into Saturday, we've got so few big aspects this week, which is making this quicker. But on Saturday, the moon will move into Sagittarius. Okay, so the moon will leave Scorpio and move into freedom-loving Sagittarius. But remember, we're in the last quarter waning session. And so, that's a bit of fire and passion to really kind of burn things off in that last quarter shedding phase. And then on Sunday, the 4th, Mercury will actually finish up the journey through Capricorn, leaving Mars well behind now, and will move into Aquarius and then will conjunct Pluto. That's the first of the personal planets other than the sun. If you remember when Pluto moved into Aquarius, oh, February the 20th, January the 20th, so not long ago. Um, uh, the sun moved in and then Pluto on the same day. They met at the last minute of Capricorn. Mercury will cross into Aquarius first after the sun and meet Pluto. And so that is, let me get them conjunct actually. That's going to be very early on Monday morning, and I'll be doing next week's video for that. But you can see that Mercury will move into Aquarius. It's actually going to be on at 12:08 a.m. Eastern time on Monday, February the 5th. So it's not actually on Sunday. And that's the first of the other personal planets to move in and meet Pluto at that crucial 0 degree Aquarius that has been such a hot degree for many years. To remind you of that, let me just show you the slide that I created for my 2024 preview. You can have a quick look at that. You can see 0, 0, 0 Aquarius, couple of other asides, but then again, 0 Aquarius, 0 Aquarius, 0 Aquarius. We're beginning something major. And otherwise, that's it for the week. So I did say I might pull one quick card from this deck. I always have to kind of go off, don't I? But anyway, I'm excited by all this energy. But Mercury moving into Aquarius will be a whole different vibe because Mercury is very mind energy in air signs, at least. And the messenger and Aquarius is about hopes and wishes for the future, humanitarianism, but can also have an authoritarian side. Oh, I got this. She of the Invisible Ally, number 7. Let me just quickly have a look. This is number 7. And it's page 49. And my cat is meowing. This is about unseen forces guiding you. Okay. So it's about tuning into these unseen forces. Okay. Because there's so much of that now, and many of us are really kind of tuning into these unseen forces. One last thing before I go, other than don't forget to subscribe and so on, is that I'm just going to give you a sneak preview of February's image because we're moving into February from She Who Is Art on Etsy. So that's going to be the beautiful image for the months coming up. So have a great week ahead. As I said, a lot less major aspects, but really we are integrating. Pluto's move into Aquarius, Uranus station direct, the Mars-Mercury conjunction and all those aspects around that. And that Earth grand trine that I kept pointing out is really helping us to integrate mind, body, spirit, and bring yourself into balance. I will see you next week or in the next video. Bye.